Good morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching Janata Television and this is English Bulletin. With me, it's Abhat Rai. The top stories first. Supreme Court issues a so-called notice against the government, seeks clarification regarding cabinet expansion. Nepali Congress displays dual nature. Leaders prepare for election as well as protest. Kathmandu becomes the most polluted city in terms of air quality. Experts link higher risk of COVID-19 infection in polluted areas. Trump gets extraordinary warning from 10 former Pentagon chiefs. European allies fearful about American democracy. And league leaders Liverpool face a shock defeat at Southampton. Saints climb to the 6th spot in the Premier League table. And now the news in detail. Supreme Court has issued a show cause notice against Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's act of extending the cabinet after dissolving the House of Representatives. Hearing the writ petition filed by senior advocate Dinesh Tripathi against the cabinet expansion and a reshuffle by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, a single bench of Supreme Court Justice Anil Kumar Shah has ordered the government to come for discussion. Similarly, both the parties have been summoned by the court on 12th of January next week for discussing on whether or not to issue an interim order in the case. Advocate Tripathi informed. The writ petition has demanded the new cabinet to not perform in their new capacity, not to further extend the cabinet, less economic burden to the president, and no such works to be performed that might have long-term impact on the nation. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli had extended the cabinet on December 25 after dissolving the Law House and announcing mid-term election in April this year. Prime Minister had extended the cabinet following the resignation of 7 ministers belonging to the Madhav Kumar Nepal and Pushpa Kamal Dahal faction. Meanwhile, Nepali Congress has been making internal preparations for the upcoming elections, despite being vocal against the government for dissolving the Law House. Nepali Congress has termed the dissolution of House of Representatives as unconstitutional. But the main opposition party is in a wait-and-watch mood to grab the best opportunity. If the Supreme Court reverses the decision to dissolve the Law House, NC intends to continue with the parliamentary practice, while if the case is dismissed, the main opposition is ready to seek fresh mandate from the people. Nepali Congress, which has been sidelined ever since the communist forces joined hands to form the Nepal Communist Party, is taking benefits from the leadership dispute within the ruling party and the decision of the government to dissolve the Law House. Nepali Congress has a strong agenda to seek people's mandate after the current government dissolved the House of Representatives and announced election for April 30 and May 10. However, the NC is still not clear on whether reinstatement of Parliament is better for them or the election. Some leaders of the main opposition party are in favour of reinstating, while others think election is a better option for them. Nepali Congress, which has already staged demonstrations against the discussion of Parliament in 165 election constituencies, is now preparing to hold protest at the provincial and local levels. In other news, the Indian Border Security Force that earlier encroached Nepali territory on Suryodaya Municipality 2nd Hile Ilam have admitted to its mistake. Locals of Hile had protested against the Indian security forces after they entered the Nepali territory of Hile in Elam and set a bamboo pole in the area. The agitated locals had also removed such poles in the aftermath. Security heads assigned to the local area of both the countries then sat for a dialogue yesterday. The Indian Border Security Force have admitted that it was a blunder to install bamboo poles inside the Nepali territory and even on the no man's land, informed Navin Khatiora, Inspector of Armed Police Force at the border outpost in Pashupatinagar. According to Inspector Khatiora, the Indian security forces have committed to not repeating the same mistakes again. Coronavirus has claimed 7 more lives in the country, taking the death toll to 1,885. The government yesterday confirmed 403 new cases of coronavirus across the country. Following the latest round of tests, the total cases of coronavirus in the country have climbed to 262,262, while the number of active cases has dropped to 5,289. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, altogether 255,088 infected persons have recovered from the disease in the country so far. Nepal is currently among the top 40 countries that have been most affected by the pandemic. The USA tops the list with 21.34 million confirmed cases, followed by India with 10.35 million cases. Coronavirus has infected more than 86.07 million people across the world and claimed 1.85 million lives. Air pollution in Kathmandu has climbed to the #1 position in the world, according to a latest study conducted by a Swiss agency. The air quality index of Kathmandu was recorded at a hazardous level of 487 on Monday. Kyrgyzstan's Bishkek was declared the second most polluted city with an air quality index of 296, followed by Vietnam's Hanoi with air quality index of 241, according to AQAir. Various studies have shown that air pollution abets coronavirus infection. Experts say that people are more often susceptible to infection in polluted areas. According to the work plan adopted by the government, air quality index above 300 requires special attention for children, elderly and ill patients. And now the news from Economic Front. There has been an unprecedented delay in import of the 50,000 metric ton chemical fertilizers procured from Bangladesh. Nepal decided to procure the chemical fertilizers from Bangladesh via G2G agreement on 17th of December last month. However, even after 18 days of the agreement, the fertilizers haven't arrived in Nepal. The team who represented Nepal in the agreement have already prepared and sent back a letter of credit (LC) to Bangladesh. Nepal has completed all the required procedures. The delay has been caused due to Bangladeshi side, informed the agro-product company. According to company's executive director Netra Bahadur Bhandari, it will take additional some time until the fertilizers arrive to Nepal. Bangladesh initiated the process to set up an LC a little late, which has caused the problem, Bhandari added. Once the formal procedures are over, the fertilizers will be imported in Nepal via railway and roadway, Bhandari added. According to Bhandari, the procurement price for 1 metric ton fertilizer has been set at $259.195 American dollar as per the agreement. Welcome back, and now the international news. In an extraordinary rebuke of US President Donald Trump, all 10 living former secretaries of defense cautioned him against any move to involve the military in pursuing claims of election fraud. According to the Associated Press, they argued that such move would take the country into dangerous, unlawful and unconstitutional territory. The 10 men, both Democrats and Republicans, signed on to an opinion article published in the Washington Post that implicitly questioned Trump's willingness to follow his constitutional duty to peacefully relinquish power on January 20. following the November 3rd election and the subsequent recounts in some states as well as unsuccessful court challenges. The outcome is clear: they vote. A number of senior military officers have said publicly in recent weeks that the military has no role in determining the outcome of US elections. They have asserted that their loyalty to the Constitution their loyalty is to the Constitution, not to an individual leader or a political party. Meanwhile, Trump's extraordinary telephone call to state officials in Georgia seeking to overturn the election results there has shaken many European allies, the New York Times reported. US allies are concerned about the health of American democracy, said the newspaper. Iran has resumed enriching uranium up to 20% in the country's biggest breach yet of its landmark nuclear deal with the world powers, NBC reported. Also Monday, Iran's Revolutionary Guard seized a South Korean-flagged ship carrying thousands of tons of ethanol in the Persian Gulf. Raising enrichment puts Iran a technical step away from enriching at 90%, the level needed to produce a nuclear warhead. Before the announcement, Iran was enriching uranium at around 4.5%. Tensions between the United States and Iran have been slimmering in the last days of President Trump's administration. Trump unilaterally withdrew the US from the Iran nuclear deal in 2018, setting off a series of escalating conflicts and incidents. You are watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. Champions Liverpool did not enjoy the beginning of the new year as they suffered a shock defeat at Southampton. With this, Liverpool also missed the perfect chance to extend their lead at the top of the Premier League table from the second-placed Manchester United. Danny Ings' stunning strike 2 minutes after the match began was enough for the Saints to beat the defending champions at St Mary's. For Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool side, this was the second defeat of the season and an end to their 12 games unbeaten run. The Saints restricted Liverpool to just a single attempt on target as a resilient defensive display and commanding first Premier League clean sheet from goalkeeper Fraser Forster in over 3 years saw Ralph Hasenhüttl's side end a 4-game winless run, Sky Sports reported. Liverpool still remain at the top of the table ahead of Manchester United on goal difference, but have played 1 game more. Manchester United are yet to face Burnley tomorrow. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin, and the headlines once again. Supreme Court issues a show cause notice against the government, seeks clarification regarding cabinet expansion. Nepali Congress displays a dual nature. Leaders prepare for election as well as protest. Kathmandu becomes the most polluted city in terms of air quality. Experts link higher risk of COVID-19 infection in the polluted areas. Trump gets extraordinary warning from 10 former Pentagon chiefs. European allies fearful about American democracy. And league leaders Liverpool face a shock defeat at Southampton. Saints climb to the 6th spot in the Premier League table. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.